Hi, I'm Charles. This is Braden.
Hey,
We're going to talk about culture for the next couple of minutes, and we're going to talk about the importance of being culturally aware in practice, and this is across all medical health professionals. So initially, what is culture? Culture is social norms within a population. Now, people from different countries can have the same culture. They can still have the same respect for barbecues, socializing. Um, so culture can be shared between different organisations and different groups of people. Um, so, culture is just social norms that's acceptable. That's my interpretation of what culture is. Is yours any different?
mine's pretty much similar. I guess just it depends on where you grow up to like whether it's rural Australia or whether it's somewhere overseas, which is slightly different. Some that don't, some different cultures across the world can interpret different things. For example, eye contact, handshakes. I had a brief read when I was reading through the slides, and even a little thumbs up in Iran is classified as a negative impact or negative thing. So, um, yeah, that's my interpretation of culture. But we're going to run through just a few of the cultural things that we believe can have an impact in the clinic. And yeah,
Yeah, I think you're right there, Braden, because I think, especially with eye contact in different cultures, that eye contact in Australia is very important. It shows that you're listening to the person, you're showing respect. In other cultures, it could be a sign of aggression. Um, like in Japan, no direct eye contact when people talk to you. Yeah, they glance at you every now and then, but they don't stare at you. I think it comes across as quite aggressive. Um, but so back to being culturally aware. I think it's important to that not everyone's going to know every detail of every culture. And I think it all comes down to the main core of being respectful, having good communication. Um, I think personal space is very important. A lot of the information that we've read all have a little part on personal space. Um,
also I think as well geographical. Just within Australia, we'll focus on at the moment. But for me, for example, I'm growing up from the coast, and if you're 5-10 minutes late, even half an hour late, that's kind of acceptable. But then you come up here, and the city life, whether you're 5 minutes late, you're classified as you know you're not going to fit in. So even being aware of where you're located geographically is highly important, as well as socioeconomic. My hometown wasn't the greatest of high-paying jobs, but you have to be aware of somebody's view on health. They might not see health as an essential, where their packet of cigarettes might be more important than maintaining a good holistic approach of health, basically. So
yeah, no, I agree with that as well. I'm from Fiji originally, and being 2-3 hours late is not an issue. Everything's a guideline. Everything's on Fiji time. So yeah, definitely. And yeah, whereas growing up in Australia, in a small country town, people, it doesn't matter if you're a few minutes late. But then working in the city, everyone's on time. Everyone's quite strict, especially with work appointments, and yeah, and it's just it's respectful to show up on time. With the socioeconomic status, now that's with a lower socioeconomic status through my experience with working in healthcare currently as a nurse. People from lower socioeconomic environments tend not to do health promotional stuff and tend to come in for when the injury or the disease has actually happened. And they're suffering and they can't function anymore. So there is no, oh, my lower back is a bit tight, it's getting worse, I better see someone. It's like, oh, I can't go to work today. That's when I'm going to go see a healthcare professional. So with that, I think it's important to be mindful of what outcomes people want. Is it to be pain free for the future, or is it to fix something specifically? Um,
And just to end, I reckon that each person's target goal might be there, but the way that they get there might be different. So, some countries they don't like you to touch, um, young people from a young age. It might be supervised, which is okay, but, in some countries it might be acceptable for a 12-year-old to come in and you go and do what you need to do. But, some countries you might not be able to do that at all. So, the end goal might be to get that same result, but the way you get there, you need to really understand or just know a little bit about cultures to reassure that you kind of get to that end goal, or if you can actually do anything at all to get to that goal. So,
yeah. So yeah, fundamentally, I think all of it comes down to communication, understanding some social norms for us, like especially culturally, if you're looking after people that are a bit older, maybe you wouldn't call them by their first name. And that's a bit of a social norm in Australia. It's a trend that I see phasing out. A lot of people are using, and I'm working in healthcare now, a lot of people are using people's first names that are especially, they're a bit older. I tend not to do that because I think it's disrespectful. And Also, fear of healthcare, especially as Indigenous people, they have a fear of healthcare, and there's a lot of money spent on trying to get them into healthcare services, giving away free rugby shirts, dinners, trying to get them to attend annual checkups. But essentially, it all breaks down to being respectful, good communication, and not putting your own personal values onto everything, and being aware that people are different.
cool. That's our view on culture. So I hope you enjoyed that, and we'll see you around.
Wonderful. See ya.